How do you actually take care of your gut instinct? Well, believe it or not, I want to say starts with taking care of your gut. The reality is a lot of ministry and business leaders are dealing with stress. And where does that stress go? It can feel like an invisible enemy at times, but generally speaking, stress ends up, if unattended, unprocessed, it ends up in your gut. And that can cause a lot of challenges for you personally, physically, and then that will show up in the next work week. So I want to hit first the importance of decision making, specifically in the leadership chair. Then I want to say that it does come down many times to a gut instinct. And that is why we need to be doing our part to show up as a whole person, because we're bringing all of our barriers, baggage, and thankfully our breakthroughs into the decision-making process. And so taking care of your gut is going to reinforce your ability to make really good gut instinct decisions. You know, as a person of faith, I look to Jesus as the example, not just for life, but more specifically for leadership. And there's this amazing moment where it says he looked out at a crowd of people, and it says he was moved with compassion. And he actually kicked into go mode. And if you look at that word picture of being moved to compassion, it actually means that he felt compassion in his guts. Like he loved that crowd with all of his guts. He cared about their situation. He related to them. He empathized with them. And then he actually mobilized into serving them and doing the impossible on their behalf. And so even looking at the lifestyle example of Jesus, who is the greatest leader, we see that he made a gut decision. He leaned into that gut instinct that he had, and he was being moved with compassion. And so I think it's going to be really important that leaders are actually leaning into the intuitive and sometimes even the counterintuitive choices that need to be made. There's going to be more calls that need to be made that do not fit cleanly into any category of a playbook, a textbook, a system, even some sort of institutional norm. Pioneering leaders are going to be making more and more decisions that are going to really originate from a very personalized process. And a lot of people may misunderstand that. And so it's important for the leaders that are going to practice that kind of strategic thinking and, decisive action, that they realize, yes, this is a powerful force that you can use for good, to be able to zig and zag as needed. But at the same time, you need to have a lot of responsibility around that decision-making process. I think there's probably two ditches on the road. One ditch is kind of this haphazard carelessness, right? This carelessness that says, oh yeah, I just kind of do what feels right today. And we know that just leads to foolishness. That just leads to a lot of collateral damage, because you're really not considering how your words, your actions, your decisions at the leadership level are affecting other people, both within your organizational context and outside of it. On the other side, the other ditch is where you elevate the decision making so much that you have to always be right. You are the only say in the matter, and that's dangerous as well. And so no one can come down a mountain like Moses did with the 10 Commandments and say, this is it, do or die. Now we're in this era where we share the collective wisdom that is available in Christ Jesus. And Business leaders need that, and ministry leaders need that. And so it's going to be important that we respect the opportunity to make gut level decisions. And we do that by being healthy. We do that by appropriating that opportunity with wisdom, with maturity, with transparency, vulnerability, and integrity. That there's a lot of accountability that's needed to actually let leaders seemingly shoot from the hip. And that's a huge deal when it comes to leadership placement and building leadership teams, making sure that people are really up to the task of analyzing, navigating, and guiding a group of people with a clear sense of vision, mission, values. So I'm all for decision making. I think it's a massive topic for your life, for your family, for your ministry, for your business. Decision making cannot be understated. And yet, decision making has to become integrated into the person. Every person has a process for how they receive information, how they connect the dots, and then how they share their values with others. So we're going to have to kind of go deeper into this in the future. But for now, my encouragement is you've got to grow your gut instinct and take care of your gut literally in that pursuit. And so if you're not healthy, then you're not clear-headed. You're not able to bring wisdom to bear on all of these different decisions. So what can you do practically? I would just say rest and digest. Your gut system and your gut health is really connected to your ability to rest and your ability to digest. And I think there's a practical application of this. There's also a spiritual application of this. So on the practical side, you've got to have rest. You've got to let your mind and your brain process the last day. And there's some amazing things that go on when you're sleeping. You're cataloging memories, you're processing things in your dreams, you're boosting your immunity and your learning capability and your reasoning. I mean, there's just so many amazing things that are going on while you sleep. And if a leader is too driven, too wired, they may sacrifice sleep as a kind of a temporary thing, like it's not that important. And yet for leaders that want to go long, strong, you have to have a foundation of sleep. Sleep is a foundational habit. And the last thing you want for a house is to have some sort of broken foundation. And so if things start, not working in the house, like the plumbing's not working or the doors don't close correctly or everything's kind of leaning one way, it could be an indicator of some foundational damage. And so there's a foundational habit that leaders need to look at, which is your sleep habits, but also your ability to rest. Can you really relax? Can you let down? It's really important for your adrenaline, for your adrenal glands. You can't always be, at like a level 10. And I think that will absolutely affect your body, your physicality, and then your mental capacity as you come back to work. So it's a red flag if a leader is not able to let down, relax, rest, recover on a sustainable basis. I really encourage you to work on that. And if you have a team, you need to be having that conversation with your team pretty openly, because they're coming in, if they're not rested, then when they hear new information, they could literally just trigger that fight or flight response on anything. And so a lot of things that are probably normal, they actually feel larger than life. Our perception can get distorted, and it was just a lack of rest. Now, on the other side, the spiritual application is, can you really rest in the Lord? Can you rest in the process? Can you rest in the team's ability to pull together and accomplish a goal? Leaders have to have that as well. Just by you taking care of your health, and more specifically your gut health, it's actually a contributor to your ability to relax, to rest, to digest, etc. And that brings up this next point, which is digestion. Now, believe it or not, your gut is doing a lot of work on your behalf that you may not realize. I would challenge you, look at your nutrition, look at what you're eating, look at even just how you're functioning, so that you are bringing the best of you into the work. You're not just, sluggish and bogged down and fuzzy, and you're really sharp. And I think leaders that care about their mission, they care about their family members, their team members, they actually invest in themselves so that all these people around them can reap the benefits. And then, as the spiritual application, which is, can you digest the facts? And so I am using a little bit of a metaphor here, but you got to be okay with really searching out the truth. And there might be things that are, quote, hard to swallow. There might be things that are hard to digest, but leaders have to be willing to listen, to digest, and then to come back with a decision of some kind that sets a direction for people, that gives clear directives to a team. And hopefully it's like, the lifestyle example of Jesus, that they've been moved at their core into some area of courage or compassion. If this resonates with you, I really want you to take the next step, which is go to my website, peterburchfield.com. There are always free trainings, free resources for you. And I'm specifically excited about a community that I've launched, and it's called the Uncharted Way. You'll find out more about that there. Thanks so much for watching. Prepare to go there. Remember, the future has so many fields waiting for you, so prepare to go there.